Hello and welcome to this episode of our Decan Walk, where Ant and I are walking the zodiac in the 10-day slices of each sign. And we've reached the second decan of Taurus. That just finished a day or so ago. So this is the decan that is represented by the Six of Pentacles. And if you've already watched a few of these episodes, you can skip this introduction because I'm just repeating myself. You can skip straight to Ant's art reveal. But for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the way this works is that we're two artists that are creating tarot as we walk the zodiac, and each 10-day slice of each sign has a minor arcana card associated with it. So we're sharing our artwork for each minor arcana card as we walk, and we reveal our two very different types of art. Ant does beautiful detailed graphite artwork, and I create colourful wave mandalas that are based on the astrology chart. And the chart I use is the very first step into each decan. So we go through the artwork, and starts off with his art. Then I will share my art as well as talk about the astrology, the chart that I've used to create my mandalas. Then we talk about the typical associations and meanings of the card, as well as our experience, our lived experience of the decan that's just gone. And last but not least, we each choose a song to represent the card, and we share the song and the reason why we've chosen the song. That's it. That's how we go through each part of our walk. I'm going to share Ant's artwork, and he is going to talk about what is behind the art. And I'm really, really curious what's behind the art, because I've got something to share with him based off of his artwork once he's finished talking to us about what's behind it. And I will be learning what's behind it at the same time as you are. And here is your beautiful piece of artwork for the Six of Pentacles, and I am all ears. What is behind this?
Like all the last cards, bar the first one, I've kind of sit with it, clear my mind, and I go into the card. This week we have the Six of Pentacles, and I allow certain. It's like a takeover, if you like. I'm just the vessel of the pencil, but we ended up with this image, and he was only halfway through drawing it, literally halfway through drawing it. I stopped and I thought, hang on, this is so connected to the last card. And it wasn't intentional that it was a nest, that a nest would be in a tree, and it was following on from the Five of Pentacles. But it turned out that way. So the nest itself is literally, the Six of Pentacles is all about giving. It's about being charitable. It's about being there for the less fortunate, if you like, and living by example of, if you have it, you can provide it for other people. And for me, it's not only pentacles, although they do represent financial, but they also represent abundance across the whole board. And whether we're giving somebody a lift up the road who has no access to get anywhere, or no way of getting anywhere, or lending people money, or being a shoulder to cry on, or any way we can give, basically, to me, represents the Pentacles. You will see that there's 5 in the nest, and there's 1 that's separate. So the 5 in the nest is, I wanted to portray an image where I want to suggest that you hold a little back for yourself. So what I mean by this is that although giving of yourself is a positive gesture, it's a good thing. In a lot of us, we give for the wrong reasons. We believe we're giving from our heart, but sometimes we give because we have Mr. Nice Guy syndrome, if you like, that we hold so much back from our own personalities and our own an unhealed element of ourselves where we give, and it makes us feel better. And it stems from, in many cases, from childhood, where we have to, in order to survive, we have to give of ourselves to get feedback, to be liked, to feel needed, to feel wanted, to feel valuable, to feel worth, etc., etc. And I wanted to hold this coin back to just indicate that we can give, but if we do not give to ourselves, we are doing ourselves an injustice. We are doing everybody an injustice involved in any scenario. And I think I've captured that in this drawing. I hope I have. The pentacles in the nest themselves are literally the nurturing aspect of giving. There to help, there to be the security, the knowing that everything's going to be okay. There's safety in there, you know. And again, the singular pentacle, which you will notice that it's in a different position to the 5 that are in the nest. The positioning of it, and that's literally to distinguish the different energies of the coins that I wanted to depict, if you like. I could have drawn it in a tree, I guess, within a branch. I didn't want to. It was there not to just leave it as a singular, let it stand out and speak for itself. And I hope it has done. It was a bit technical with the little twigs and branches. But yeah, I got there in the end, and like all the other cards, I love it. But I am intrigued for your response to this. I'm sure there's a synchronicity in there somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
First, before I share the synchronicity, when you drew the nest,
Mm-hmm.
did you have a particular nest in mind, or how did that flow through?
I mean, initially I got right, we're going for a nest, okay. An eagle's nest was the nest that was in my peripheral, in my vision of drawing. Why an eagle's nest? I don't know. However, I wouldn't say that is an eagle's nest. I think I would rather suggest it's a smaller bird's nest. But yeah, the notion of an eagle's nest was there, but it's not an eagle's nest, I wouldn't say, if that makes any sense.
It makes a huge amount of sense, yes. Here we have your artwork. Before I tell you the story about this nest, I'd like you to close your eyes, please, Ant. And now you can open them and look at me. And in fact, I'll stop sharing.
What? Where did this come from? What's going on, Leanne?
I know. So, I'll tell you the story about this nest.
Mm.
12th of November last year, I went and looked at the date. I went for a walk to the local lagoon. And on my way back, on the footpath beside a copse of trees, there was this perfectly formed bird's nest just sat on the path. And I thought, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And I was thinking, oh, what a shame that I can't actually put it back in the tree because it had been really windy the day before, so clearly it got blown out. But you know, there's no broken shells or anything, so I think the little ones
Love
have
it.
already
Mm.
flown off, right?
Mm.
So I didn't realize this, but not all birds' nests are made the same, right? They're not all created equal. Not, I
Mm.
mean, look at this. This is just like such
Mm.
intricate weaving. Look at it.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
just astounding how
Literally artwork.
well made it is,
Mm.
right? And how it's like pretty much could have been the model for your drawing
Mm. Mm. Absolutely.
because the photo that I morphed it into is a photo I took of this nest this morning so I could show you the transition. When I got your drawing, I was just killing myself laughing. I'm going, oh my God, he's drawn my nest. He's drawn my bird's nest.
That's crazy.
And the bird, my sister and I figured out the bird that made this nest is my favorite New Zealand native bird, right? And it is called, so this is the date that I found the nest. And this is the bird that makes
Oh
the
wow.
nest. It's the native fantail. It goes by a number of names: Ti Rairaka, Ti Waiwaka, and Pi Waka Waka. And
People.
yeah, Pi Waka Waka is what I call them. They are my favorite native bird, and we have many, many, many native birds in New Zealand. It's a little fat, as you can see, ball of a bird with a big fantail, and they I they dance rather than, you know, they like hop about and flit about and they squeak. So rather than like, so they squeak. And I just saw a couple this afternoon before coming on the call. So what they do is when the insects come out, they basically do some people call it an insect dance. They
Mm.
dance about to catch the insects. In Maori tradition, this bird can be a sign of death if they come into the house, and depending on how they behave when they're in the house, it can be a sign that someone's going to pass away. Or they can be an ancestor coming to visit, right? And they're a very mercurial bird. They're very curious. The closest I can give you of a UK equivalent, I feel, no, the robin. You know how the little robins are
Mm.
very, you know, how they hop about and
Yeah.
they'll come check you out. And yeah, the Piwaka Waka is very, you know, they're very, the robin and the Piwaka Waka, you know, I love the robin. The robin
Mm.
is one of my favorite birds in the UK. And,
Mm.
you
They
know,
have similar bodies as well.
they do. So I've included one of the stories with Pi Waka Waka in it. The demigod Maui, made famous in the Disney films Moana by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The demigod Maui in Maori mythology, Pi Waka Waka refused to tell Maui where his ancestress kept fire. And as revenge, Maui squeezed the bird so hard that it made the bird's eyes pop out, and that's why the little bird's got bulbous eyes, and also is why the tail is sort of, much further back and fanned out. So that's like the mythology behind the appearance of the bird. And then the bird got its revenge, as you can see with the story on the left, where Maui, trying to, eradicate death, decided to try and get into Hini Nui Te Po, who is the goddess of, so not just death. And he tried to enter her through her private parts. And Pi Waka Waka was there with Maui, and he danced about, disturbed things so that she woke up. And she was so angry that she squeezed and killed Maui by squeezing him to death between her thighs. Don't you just love how the mythology is always really extreme? Doesn't matter which culture it is. Yeah. Pi Waka Waka is, like I said, a very mercurial energy of a bird. Now I'm going on to the background of the artwork of the LightSong that I did. And I have realized that in every moment there is a grand sextile. You just need to find who the constituents are. The ruler of Taurus is Venus. The sub-ruler for the second decan of Taurus is the moon. And so I use the sub-ruler as my starting point for the LightSong mandala that I create from the astrology chart. And the astrology chart is for 10 degrees Taurus, because this decan starts at 10 degrees. And the tightest aspect, the moon didn't actually have many aspects, and the tightest one was the sextile to Mercury. Pi Waka Waka is a mercurial bird. And I guess you could say that this grand sextile is almost like the weaving of the nest. And these are the other constituents. And what I find interesting is that this card is about prosperity. Which asteroid is right there on top of the moon? The asteroid Gold. For the card for prosperity in the chart for this card, the asteroid Gold is there 21 minutes. Very close to the moon. And then you can actually read the different asteroids and the different fixed stars. The starscape, I guess you could say, are the fixed stars, and then the asteroids are the actual physical bodies that are traveling through the starscape. And we've got Terpsichore, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, dance. So what did I say about the Pi Waka Waka? They don't fly like other birds. They flit, they dance. Independence, non-conformity, and the pursuit of individuality. Yes, this little bird is a very non-conformist, individual kind of bird. This is the grand sextile that I based my LightSong on for this card. And here are the waves of light. And I've only done one. I usually do one for the zodiacal colors and then the planetary colors. But because it's already quite busy with the waves of energy, I've kept it to the planetary colors are just the moon and Mercury in the pools of light where they are conjunct the asteroids Gold and Sappho. The rest of the colouring is all zodiacal colours. And here is the grand sextile and then the actual LightSong which you can see why I didn't want to make it even more busy by doing 2. And here is the 6 of Pentacles. What do you feel about this card now that it's got the LightSong elements on it? And
I think it's absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. Love the colour, love the formation. Your artwork itself, the light songs are very nest-like as well. I feel, to me, yeah, it was like a woven nest, and this itself is, the grand sextile is
yeah,
very kind of woven-esque.
yes.
It's lovely. I think it's very representative of the rendered pentacles, like last week.
And now I'm going to ask you about the nest. Is this the nest that you were drawing?
To say that was the nest that I was drawing, I can't say for definite, but it was certainly very, very, very similar. It even has my little twigs coming off the end. It has little
Exactly.
bits
Little bit
fluff
of,
in there.
exactly.
It's literally, yeah, I mean, it could well have been Leanne. It, it's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. So similar. Like, was I looking into this nest within your home, and it's just been
Well,
amazing.
I have it up here usually, and I don't pay it a lot of attention because, I
Mm,
collected it at the end of last year. But when you sent
mm,
me your card, I'm like, oh my
mm,
God, that's my bird's nest.
mm. But here's the thing as well. Um, like I said, the initial thought for a nest coming into me was an eagle's nest, and it didn't stay. It didn't sit for long. It was no, it's not an eagle's nest we're going for here, and yeah, the outcome was Leanne's nest. The
Well, the P Waka Waka's nest that
Peawackle Waka's
that I
nest.
was gifted by the wind. Yes.
Mm, piece of art. Piece of art.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's like, yeah, that's
Nature's
why
gift.
that's why I bought it home because it's like, oh my gosh,
Mm,
this is just so beautifully made,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, and in pristine condition as well.
Yeah, yeah. So we've now reached the point where we talk about how we've experienced this decan that is represented by the Six of Pentacles. First of all, I go through the traditional meaning, starting with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The title of this card is Lord of Material Success. You'll note that I've actually put down here the period of time that is represented by this decan as well. It can be slightly different to this depending on where you are in the world, but it's around about these dates, 10 days worth. The Lord of Material Success, as you can see on the left, Ant talked about earlier. Presents, gifts, money, prosperity, and I've also put in the reversed meaning as well. And what I've put here is the verbatim, what is written in the Rider, what is traditionally called Rider-Waite. I've got the book that is the Rider-Waite companion book to the actual original Rider-Waite deck that I'm calling Waite-Smith to acknowledge the artist. So anyway, these are the traditional significations for this card. And I also include the significations from the deck that I use, which is called Druidcraft. And again, I've given a few of the points from the Druidcraft, giving or receiving benefits, a benefactor that may have entered your life, good job prospects. So it's a bit wider than the Waite-Smith. And then also the reverse, one of the reverse meanings. Did any of these things show up for you?
They did. They did. Yeah. It's been a period of I've given a lot of myself energetically in the last, specifically, as you say, between 1st of May and the 10th. Energetically, it's what I do anyway. It's people come to me for advice on many things, be it their nutrition, something that's going on in their life, something they need advice on. I molded myself into that person for them, and I love it. I'm not knocking it in any way. I love being there for people and helping in any way I can. So there was so much of that, of giving my energy to people and assisting, more so during this period than any other, I would say. But also I was in a situation where I was the one who needed help. And it's hard for me to accept help or even ask for help. Very hard for me. But I had to. And fortunately, yeah, the person was there for me. And so I was giving and receiving in this period. Like the reverse as well, I also denied help. Maybe due to my pride, maybe not, I don't know. So I think, yeah, I've experienced all elements of the energetics of this one. Some nice times, some not so nice times for me and other people, but you know, we were all there for each other, and I think that's what the importance of this card is. I think in order for anybody to assist or help anyone, they have to be a lord of material success in some way, be it energetically or materialistically. But yeah, I mean, to pinpoint certain situations, I'd be here for a while. But there was many instances where people have reached out to me. I've helped people, and I've had to call on help myself, which I don't rarely do. I do. But yeah, I guess that was the energy and the Decan we're in. So yeah, I was very much in it, very much embodied. From my own perspective, I very much looking forward to moving on to the next Decan.
Well, we're there now. We're, a day, just over a day into this Seven of Pentacles now, and the third decan. So for me, I would say two things that I recognize. So the first is, and it involves you, Ant, because, during the period, I accepted your help and assistance with, we had a healing session. So that is my experience of receiving gifts, receiving a gift of healing. I do volunteer work 1 day a week, and this taps into the job prospects. So the manager asked me if I would be interested in a casual position. I said, yeah, sure. The prospect turned up during this decan. So yes, that was my experience of this decan. I'm going to ask you, what soul did you choose for this decan and this card, and why?
So I'm not going to give you a bar this week because I'm a bit horsey. I'm a bit not in the mood. But oh, this was another one where I really struggled with the song. I'm very funny about it because it really has to. I don't ever want to pick a song just because it, similar. But Bridge Over Troubled Water. Not the Simon and Garfunkel version, but the Elvis version. Just the impact, just his voice in this song. It's always been one of my favorite songs. But yeah, and there is no specific chorus, verse that I want to pinpoint. It's literally the energy of the whole song. It's it's being there. It's letting people know that you're not alone. I've got your back. Yeah, lovely song, and to me it was, like I always say, it was it's sung to me as my song choice. Yourself?
Well, I just want to say first, I've never heard the Elvis version. I'm struggling to think of the Elvis version. So what I'll do is I'll go and find the Elvis version and put a clip of it in here.
Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams along the way, see how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind.
The song I chose is actually, I struggled. Had my song turn up within the last 3 hours. So I was doing all of the prep for this session and my song still hadn't dropped in. But, I have faith that it will drop in because I've done this kind of process. I started a soul songsters group and we were together for 3 years. I trust the process that the song it'll squeak in even if I'm thinking, oh my God, I haven't got one yet. So yes, this dropped in. I thought it was going to be, and especially when you sent me your card with a nest in it, I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is why Three Little Birds has, dropped in, even though I can't see why it's that song. I thought it was going to be that. I love that song, Three Little Birds, Bob Marley.
I do.
Yeah. Don't worry about a thing. It's a bit like Bridge Over Troubled Water, isn't it? Yeah.
Right? It is similar kind of energy to it.
Yeah.
They're giving, they relax.
And the song I've ended up with is also a bit similar to Bridge Over Troubled Water. And it's linked to last week. So last week you sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the Lemon Drops part of it, and your rendition of it. Actually, I meant to ask you, I haven't had the chance to ask you until now. Were you singing the Eva Cassidy version? No.
I mean, I was singing my own version, but Eva Cassidy, as much as that song belongs to her and she sings it with more everything than anyone I've ever heard.
Correct.
My favorite version, however, is by Israel, the Hawaiian.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes,
oh, oh,
yes.
oh, it's just
It,
beautiful.
it was the other one I was going to go to when
That's
I did the exploration of the chart. I was going to go to his
mm,
first, but then something drew me to Eva. And, you know, when you look at what I found in the chart, it's no wonder I was drawn to the Eva version. But I love Iz's version also.
I believe you're right to do so, Leanne, because that's her song. You know, you can have covers of songs. Some are great, some are not so great, but that's her song. And what you found out last week in your little detective work,
Yeah.
it was Eva Cassidy all day long.
I have actually chosen another Eva Cassidy song.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not her song. It's Sting's song,
Okay.
Fields of Gold.
Oh,
And for my song, I'll do the same as for yours. I'll find a clip and slot it in here.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? And you can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold.
The interesting thing is the title of the album, which is the album I have of Eva's,
Songbird.
is
Yeah.
Songbird. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold. So I chose this because when I think of the Six of Pentacles, it's about harvest time. It's about, you know, the riches of the harvest. And fields of barley and fields of gold really resonate with the themes of this card. And as I said, it took ages for it to drop in. And then as soon as it did drop in, I'm like, oh my God, of course, it's fields of gold. Of course it is. And then I had the opportunity to have a quick look at the chart. So here we have, I've like put in the background the actual grand sextile. And here we have Eva Cassidy's gold, the same asteroid, is almost exact. If it was, it's just 1 minute shy of being an exact spot on sextile to the gold of our cards chart. So gold in our cards chart is at 12 degrees 38 minutes, Gemini. Her gold asteroid in her birth chart is 12 degrees 39 minutes of Aries. So it's near as damn an exact sextile. And once again, we have Mercury Mercury keeps popping up, right? Remember our first 3 cards? It was Mercury and the nodes and the North Node. Well, it's Mercury and the Moon, and the nodes are actually connected to the Moon, right? They're the nodes of the Moon. That's the first alignment. The next alignment is the album, Songbird album, Black Moon Lilith and the Imam Coeli, which is basically the root of the chart. They are exactly to the minute in what's called a quincunx. So a quincunx, which is the green line, is, I liken it to a line of inquiry or a questioning line of energy. It's like a query from the Black Moon Lilith of the album chart and the root of the album chart to the Mercury and the gold, right? The Mercury of our cards chart and the gold of Eva Cassidy's chart. There's like a questioning going on here. And then we have Make Make. Make Make is a higher octave of Mercury. You have Mercury, and then the higher octave of Mercury is Uranus, and then the higher octave of Uranus is Make Make. And Make Make is in an exact to the minute square to the moon of our cards chart. So again, the likelihood of this is, you know, the chances of this being to the minute is very, 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 very slim. And then if I draw in the other lines, you'll see that it creates like this is what's called an achievement triangle, the red pattern. So our moon in our cards chart, Make Make from the Songbird album chart, and the asteroid Hidalgo and the star Alwade of the Draco constellation. Those are the 3 constituents for this triangle. And then we have the moon of our cards chart as well as gold. Gold from Eva's chart and the Mercury of our cards chart. And not forgetting Sappho, actually. And Sappho is a, oh gosh, I'm going to have to go back, aren't I? Oh, here we go. I've got it here. Creativity, passion, and beauty, Sappho. So very connected to the arts, right? So they are at the base and pointing to the Black Moon Lilith and the root of the Songbird album in the Songbird albums chart. And this is what's known as a finger of God. I prefer to call it a finger of Gaia. So the apex point, or points in this case, are the focal points. The more I'm investigating or doing my detective work, as you called it, Ant, the more it is corroborating the fact that we live in a divine matrix, because you just can't make it up. And this is just me.
It's all frequency.
Yeah, I mean, I could keep going, you know, digging further and further, but it's like that's enough to, you know, again, prove the point that it's all connected. So the song dropped first, and then I went and looked.
A lovely week of synchronicities. I always look forward to the synchronicities, and I'm going to be honest. This week I thought maybe there won't be any synchronicities. It's a bird's nest, you know, what could possibly derive from this. And yeah,
Well, I don't
Things did.
imagine that you thought that I would have a bird's nest.
No,
No.
that was practically very similar, if not the same bloody bird's nest. No.
Because it's not a difficult thing for someone to have, is it?
No.
Especially
Everyone's got one there.
especially not a perfectly constructed one.
Yeah, we've all got one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it.
On that note, I guess this episode is done and dusted. Thank you, Ant.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Leanne.
thank you all for tuning in. And as per normal, there is the artwork is available to purchase if it calls to you. Also, if you have a song that represents the Six of Pentacles for you, do share it with us. We'd love to hear from you. But for now, that's it from me and Ant. And till next time, from my heart's light to yours.
Love and light.